let's look at the first form of a market structure, which is perfect competition. So let us first look at the definition of perfect competition. A perfect competition is a market structure where an individual firm cannot influence the prevailing market price of the product on its own. An example for this is an agriculture market. Now think of a situation where you go and you want to buy, let's say for example, 5 apples. The assumption is that you want to buy a particular category of apples, right? When you go to a market, an agriculture market, there could be 10 sellers who might be there, right? Now all of them between themselves have to offer this product at the same price. Why? Because if one of them sells at 200 rupees, right? The other sells at 180, the third one also sells at 180, the fourth one also sells at 180, and so on. This individual producer or seller actually cannot make the other ones to change the price of this to 200. If he sells at a higher price, no one is going to come and buy the product from him. Ultimately, he has to also sell it at 180. So in such a case, in an agriculture market, an individual firm cannot influence the market price of the product on its own, right? So what are the conditions when perfect competition exists? Now, the perfect competition would exist when there is a pure competition amongst the producers. What does this mean? This means that there are large number of buyers and large number of sellers. If there's only one buyer or if there is only one seller, he can dictate the prices, right? But if there is a large number of buyers and large number of sellers, then the seller, individual seller, cannot influence the price of the product. The second condition is that the product has to be homogeneous. Now in an agriculture market, like I told you, you cannot have one person selling apple, which is, let's say, the Washington apple, which is there, right? And the other one is selling an apple, which is a local brand, right? You cannot compare the two of them. Maybe sometime this might be better, sometime this might be better. But when we talk about perfect competition, what we are looking at is a homogeneous product. There is a free entry and exit of firms. Now what this would mean is that the firms can enter into a market, they can go out of the market. The cost associated with entering into a market is not very high, which means if suppose a firm has to take a license, which is very expensive, so let's say in case of telecom companies, right, they cannot be a free entry because the license costs are very high. Free exit, whenever a firm decides, they can exit from the market if they feel that it's not working out for them. The second part of perfect competition is that there is a perfect market for the commodity. What this means is that there is a perfect knowledge, both amongst the sellers as well as the buyers, right? So the sellers know how they have to get the input, the buyers know where to get the product, right? Absence of selling and transportation costs, which means that you can sell your product, there is no transportation cost. In practical life, this is a difficult assumption, but having said it, it is one of the assumptions which should exist before there is a perfect market for the commodity. Perfect mobility of factors of production, which means if there is an individual, right, he can move from one place to the other. He can move from Dehradun to Delhi, he can move from Delhi to Bombay, right? Or at any other place. There's a perfect mobility for him. If he wants to choose a job at a particular point or a particular place, he can do that. So the factors of production are perfectly mobile.